I'm just going to show the last 20 rounds of my 9mm rubber loading. This is the first box I've done. It's been a learning experience, that's for sure. So I figured I'd show you guys. I'm using 244 Wind Clean, and I could not really find the information on it. I finally did after about 2 hours. So I'm just going to show you guys this, that way maybe it'll help somebody, maybe it won't. But starting grains on this, I started at 4 grains and it seemed like it wasn't quite enough. So I'm now going with, well, the first I did 17 rounds. It was a full mag of 4 grains, and then I did 1 round of 4.2 and 1 round of 4.4. 4.2 was almost enough, and 4.4 was, I think it was a little bit too much. It didn't crack the case or anything crazy, but I just wanted to keep it about 4.3, kind of right in the middle. It seems to work pretty well. I'm just using Berry's 115 grain. Jacketed. They're just round nose, nothing crazy. I'm actually going to weigh this one. Make sure I'm still on track. Tear weight at 0. That one is 4.4 grains, which is, I mean, that's acceptable, but a little bit much for my liking. So get it narrowed right down here. Here we are, 4.3 again. Okay. Back on track with that. I'll weigh the next one too, just to confirm. Just make sure you set your tear weight. Set your scale at 0 with whatever you're using to weigh it. I'm just putting it in the bullet and weighing it. So that was a little bit over what I like. That was 4.5, which is a little on the high side. 4.5 again. That's a double charge. We got here 4.3, right on. Okay. Since that one's screwy, I'll check it again when I go back through. You guys are hearing screaming. It's just my son trying to climb on the table. We're gonna zero this one out. And that was a little bit low. That was 4 grains. This thing is a little finicky. I may end up replacing it. I'm not too fond of it. Usually once you get it on, it's pretty well good, but it's just kind of a major pain to get it on. So that was 4.2. Open that up just a little bit more. Nothing too crazy. 4.2 again. Up a little bit. Oh yeah? Yeah. That one's 4.3. I don't like weighing them every single time because it takes forever, but and if I was been doing this for 20 years, I probably wouldn't, but first 100 rounds, I want to make sure I'm doing everything correctly. This is a very dangerous hobby. At least it can be if you do one little thing wrong. I forgot to zero that one out, so it's at 3.6. That's incorrect. 0. .3. So we'll load that one up. And the priming, I bought the 50th anniversary Elite Challenger kit. And when I first started, like the first 20 rounds I did, the priming was a little bit screwy. But now that I kind of got it, I don't know if I got it wore in or what, but it seems to be working pretty well. Of course, I've only used the small primers. They have a primer case and you just push this forward, it'll pop a primer out. But they have one for small, see that's in. They have one for large. I've only used a small. I have some 50A to do, so some 50 Action Express. And as soon as I get my bullets in that order from Extreme, then we'll be doing those. But so those should be seen shortly if you guys want to stick around on the channel there. Then I'm going to get into do some 223. I do have a Mini 14 that is extremely fun to shoot. So I'll get into doing some of that, I suppose. And I have to get another 45. So I do miss my 45. I used to have 1911s, but I think I might go with an HK 45 this time. My father used to have one when I was about 13, 14. And I love that gun. It was such a cool looking gun. It always shot nice. Didn't have any problems with it. So I might have to spend $1,000 and get one of those. A little pricey for a handgun. I guess I spent $800 on my SIG. So. Which is actually what I'm reloading these for. I don't know if I have it out. Oh, where are my keys? Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Right there. I must still be in there. I'll be right back, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm loading mine. We have a SIG P320. Mag is empty. It is clear. I do a 320 that I like shooting. The sight, it's got a Romeo on it, and it seems to be kind of difficult to get it to sight in, and the iron sights are off. But I've probably put a couple hundred rounds through it, so we'll get it sighted in. It's a nice gun. I do like shooting it. It's a lot of fun. And then you get into doing some 357 as well. But I'm going to get into doing 50 first. I do have the dice for 50. Can you get off my chair, please? Thank you. Mag was loaded. I do carry this on occasion. Chamber is empty. But 50 Action Express right now is about between $3 and $4 a round, and I love shooting this gun, but not for that price. This is actually some Samson ammo I had left over, but I think I can, from what I've gathered, price-wise, on ammo that is available, I can reload it for about 50 cents a round. So I'll save about $2.5 a round on that, which then it's about the same as buying cheap hollow points for 9mm, and I can deal with that. So I have about 80 rounds of 50 Action Express laying around. There's a 9 for comparison for you guys. Remember, this is just a case. There's no bullet in there. This will actually fit inside of here. The tip just barely sticks out. Go play. Stop getting into shit. My son is getting into everything as per usual. Actually, I can show you guys it loaded round versus a 9. Depending on what powder you take, 9 takes about, well, these take 4.3. 50 cal with the IMR I'm using takes about, I don't remember exactly the specs on it, but I think it's about 34 grains, my bad. A little bit of a difference there. And it's not exactly practical, but it is a fun gun to shoot. It's a good conversation starter. And it's one of the largest handguns, semi-automatic handguns anyway, that anybody's ever made. They do make like revolvers and 45-70 and just ridiculous things like that, but semi-auto handguns is about the cream of the crop. I don't know if you guys saw this, but this does actually have a bolt carrier in it, similar to your AR, just much bigger. And the barrel actually has lugs for the bolt in there. The barrel is stationary, just this back half of the slide moves. So it's not a full-length slide like a Glock or 1911 or any of those. There's actually a gas piston in here that pushes the slide back, rather than recoil-driven like most handguns are. It's kind of a different built handgun. It's just fun to have, I guess. Not a lot of people have one. I suppose a lot of people don't want one, but I happen to want one, and I came into some money at work and like, well, may as well do it. I think that one came with 100 rounds. 80 rounds of Hornady Custom, and then 20 rounds of this Samson Ultra, which they no longer make. From what I understand, it was made by the original manufacturers of the vehicle, which would be IMI, Israeli Military Industries, which they then went to IWI, and then now they're made in, instead of Israel, they are made in the US by Car Arms, which I did not know until I was trying to buy one. I'm new to this, but some of these cases were a little hard to get to go into my SIG. But I don't know, it may have been because I was flaring the end of the case too much. So I got that kind of back down a little bit. So it's just tapered enough to get the bullet in now. Because before they were, I don't know if you can even see this on camera. Maybe you can't. They have quite a flare to the ones I originally did. And actually I have not done a drop test yet, which I think I can right now. I did load into the firearm and I did extract. I think they have that problem with a lot of the closer spec guns, that they don't have a lot of wiggle room, so reloading cases can be a little finicky from what I've read anyways. And this is just cheap. Most of it is Winchester ammo. So I mean, it's not exactly top of the line. It was just some cheap Target brass, well, Target ammo, it's just brass now, but Target ammo that we had bought from Cabela's in Sydney, because they had it. I think we bought 200 rounds of their Target ammo, just ball ammunition. And then we went back like a month later and they had just some really cheap hollow points. Which we were looking for ball ammo for target practice. But that's all they had. So we ended up buying that. That was $27 for 50 rounds. So a little bit over 50 cents a round. The Target ammo we bought originally was almost exactly 40 cents a round. And reloading, I think I have it down to about 25 cents a round. Which isn't, I mainly got into reloading for 50. But that's a little bit of savings. And it's fun to do. When you first get into it, like the first time I tried to load, trying to get the dice set was my main. It was a huge pain. I think I went through 4 different rounds before I finally got it done. And kind of got it halfway figured out. I was trying to read the instructions, but they don't exactly explain it super well. So I went on YouTube, and an older gentleman on there had a video of how to set them. So from there, I got it figured out fairly quickly, but I had screwed with it for a while prior to that. And I was setting them almost exactly at the max overall length. Which in I bought a Lyman book, which is now covered in primers and shells and calipers and a pair of needle nose pliers and a scale. I bought the 50th edition. But I believe it was 1.668 or something like that was the max. And I wasn't setting it on the max, but it was very close. Oh, it's 1.169. That's correct. I was thinking 1.168, I guess. But now I have them set about 1.15, somewhere in there. I seem to have misplaced my calipers, even though I just had them. I put them back in the box. So these are actually, of course I haven't checked in a while, because I don't do no grams. So these are 1.151. Which is what factory ammo, that's about what factory ammo is. And that's all the other guys I saw were loading on here. I didn't know how low I could go, because obviously as you get the bullet in further, there's less room in the case, which means there's now less room for all that to expand. I seem to have so if you get the bullet in too far, then you have way too much case pressure, and then you're gonna have bad stuff happen. But everybody else seems to be getting away with about 1.151 or similar to that. So, and prior to this, the first mag I made at 1.168 or 1.167 is about what most of them were. You could tell there wasn't a whole lot of case pressure. I mean, it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of power behind the round. And they were ejecting, and I mean, I had a couple jams, which I believe is partially due to too much of a flare on the nose and not enough case pressure and not enough powder, because I was only putting 4 grains in to begin with, and I think we were a little shy there. So I probably got to narrow back down now, I think. But I guess when we go through and shoot these, we'll find out, and then I'll know for next time. I'll write all this down on a notepad, that way I know exactly what my OAL was and my overall length and how much powder I put in them and all that fancy fun stuff. When you guys get into this, you're going to have fucking gunpowder scattered everywhere. I just try to keep it contained, and then it just seems like it, I don't know, just shows up and teleports over there, I guess, on the bench. So let's get a vacuum in here and vacuum all that up. I think I dumped 1 case when I was trying to get stuff done and had it out in the wrong spot and smacked it. Go play, buddy. Stop doing this stuff. Here's all the ruckus you're seeing. That is my son Christopher, and he is a troublemaker. Huh. Bring his camera shy today, I guess. He likes to help. Usually ends up not helping, but he likes to try to help anyway. He loves tools. I'll tell you right now, if you guys are going to be starting this, or even if you have started but you don't have this thing is amazing. You're gonna screw up rounds when you first start. I knew that to begin with, which is why I bought it. This is a Frankfurt Arsenal Impact Bullet Puller, and this thing is fantastic. You just take this. You'll stick your, I'll show you just for reference. You'll have little, it's called a collet in there, which you can't see very well because I have it too loose, but there's a little hole in there. So take your case and you'll stick it all the way in there till it hits the very rim. I'm not actually going to pull this bullet because it's a good bullet, but it's in there now. There's actually a bullet in there now, so it's rattling around. But you'll take this and you'll hold it straight, and you'll smack a piece of wood with it. And usually about 3 or 4 times, and that bullet is out of there. And that has been very helpful, even in my first day ever loading. I think I've screwed up, 4 rounds. And then my scale was off because I forgot to zero it, and it was showing 3.2 grains of powder, which is about a grain short. So then I was worried that I had putting on enough grains in all the first 50 rounds that I did, so I had to go back and pull one of those apart. Which that I couldn't use the puller because if you smack it, the bolt just launches and the powder goes everywhere, so you can't measure it. So I just had to take a pair of needle nose pliers and just pull the bullet out. And come to find out that the powder was correct, and my scale was just off because I did not zero it for that particular casing that I was using to measure. And I do have these because it actually came with this scale in the kit I bought, but digital scales are way faster and much easier to use. And I think it's easier to just use whatever bullet I'm trying to fill and zero it out on that bullet, and then fill it with powder and check. That way there's no zeroing it out using this little bowl and then dumping it into the bullet, and then you get rid of a step or two in there, which might not save you a whole lot of time, but this is a tedious process as it is, and anytime you can save, you may as well, as long as you're not cutting any corners. Cutting corners in this is very dangerous. So, I am a person with very little patience, but I try to be as patient as I can be with this stuff because it is a dangerous thing to be doing. Especially not just me shooting it. My wife also has a SIG T365 SAS that is 9, and she shoots it. And my cousin Blake, he has a M&P, no, it's not M&P, it's an XD. That's what it is. He has an XD that's 9mm, and he also shoots these. So I don't want anybody else to be getting messed up along with myself, but mainly other people. So I'll just try to be very careful. And there it is, my very first 100 rounds of 9mm ammunition. It's looking pretty spiffy. And I dry tumble these. I got a Corner D, I think it's an M1 vibrating tumbler, and it works really good. And I actually could not find any primers anywhere, but my wife's father had 300, well, yeah, he has a lot more than this, but he had 300 primers that he was going to sell me. So when I showed up for dinner that night, he sold those to me for 20 bucks. That was a pretty good deal. I actually managed to find large Magnum primers, which I figured I would be able to find, but I could not find small pistols. So I got primers for the 50 caliber. Just no primers for the 9, which I finally found. So now I'm going to have to try to keep an eye out and see if I can find primers. And the dry tumblers actually do a very good job of cleaning. Everybody says wet, and I'm sure wet is better. But this is a dry 44 case that I tumbled out of my dad's 629 revolver. And it turned out very nice. Very clean. The primer bucket is mostly clean. I'm going to have to run through that with pocket cleaner, but that's not a big deal. Well, I believe that's it, guys. I should be able to get back to you here pretty soon when I have some 50 rounds, and we'll start loading some 50 up. Have a good one.